Hi, I'm Bryn,
Hey, I'm Jer.
and welcome to Apes on Tape, the only podcast where honesty is the best policy.
Yeah, except for when we lie to you guys about things like, those Christmas traditions and stuff.
Exactly, and the title of this podcast, which is Lies, but we're actually going to talk about honesty as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about both sides of this coin.
So we lied to you.
We're not sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But first, do you want to play? Do you want to play a little game?
Let's do another game, man.
Yeah, I love our games.
Games are fun.
It's the funnest part of this podcast. So what's the game called again?
The game was called Famous or Fake, or Fake or Famous, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with fake or famous.
Yeah, so it's Fake or Famous, and the game is basically we give each other famous quotes or supposedly famous quotes
Yeah, from famous people.
from famous people, and then the other person has to determine whether they're actually true famous quotes or fake ones.
Yeah, like did that person really say that, or are we just making this shit up?
Yeah. So we got a few of these here for you. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start off with one. So I have a quote from Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
Yeah, a guy that I studied, Gandhi. So the quote is, I shall conquer untruth by truth, and in resisting untruth, I will eliminate suffering. So I shall conquer untruth by truth, and in resisting untruth, I will eliminate suffering. Is that famous or false?
I mean, that sounds pretty legit. It could be something taken from not Gandhi, because I don't remember him ever saying anything about the concept of untruth. But I'm gonna go with famous.
Famous? It's actually false. So what I did there is I kind of did a bait and switch. It's not I will eliminate suffering.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, because Gandhi was actually all about suffering. In fact, he thought that the truth was suffering. So it was, I shall conquer untruth by truth, and in resisting untruth, I shall put up with all suffering.
You barely even changed it.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make a point about how Gandhi looked at truth.
That's cheap as fuck, yo. You cheated.
I'm just setting the tone for the game.
I'm done playing
man.
this game with you.
The point.
If you're just gonna cheat and lie the whole time.
That's what the nature of this game is about, lying.
All right, I'm gonna do one now.
Okay, all right, lay it on me.
Okay, so this one is from Stephen King. It's pretty short.
Okay.
It's only enemies speak truth.
Only enemies speak the truth. I'm gonna say that's famous.
That is.
That
It's
is
actually-
famous.
So the
Which book is that from?
I don't think it's necessarily from one of his books, but the full quote is: "Only enemies speak truth. Friends and lovers lie endlessly, caught in the web of duty."
Oh wow, that's very profound actually.
Yeah.
Because the people that want to help you and like you, they want to give you a delusion,
Yeah.
and your enemies will be like, you're a piece of shit.
I fucking hate you. I'm gonna give you all of the hard truths.
That's why you need to hold your enemies close. Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, go for it.
This is a quote from René Descartes, the famous dualist. So there is no separation in the true reality, the formlessness that connects all things, known and unknown. There is no separation in the true reality, the formlessness that connects all things, known and unknown, from Descartes.
I mean, that one sounds pretty legit too, but I feel like you might have changed like one word or some shit, and so you can be like, no, it's fake.
This one's.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go famous.
You're gonna go with famous?
Yeah.
Actually, it's false, because Descartes didn't say this. Your friend Christina wrote this in her book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is from Christina. She's gonna be so pleased that fooled you.
Fuck you, Christina. You got me.
Christina's probably like rolling around laughing right now.
Fuck. I'm bad at this game, apparently. I don't know. Quotes are fucking stupid anyways.
I love this game.
All right. Al Capone once said,
Al Capone.
"I'm a kind person. I'm kind to everyone."
Whew. I think that's famous because generally gang societies are mutual aid societies, and they don't exist without helping somebody.
Is that really true?
Like
gang
from what I
societies?
know about organized crime.
Are they really helping people? Or
Well-
are they just like...
Well, the Yakuza is a mutual aid society. They like help the downtrodden and like the caste system of Japan. Triads too. Like it's people that prop up organized crime. Like they got to be keeping somebody happy, or else
I feel like, I mean, if organized crime gets big enough, they can more or less just be keeping themselves happy, can't they?
Yeah, fair enough. But I'm gonna go with famous.
Yeah, okay.
It sounds like something that egotistical asshole would say.
So this one is also followed up by like a rest of the quote kind of deal. So
Okay.
I'm a kind person. I'm kind to everyone. But if you're unkind to me, then kindness is not what you'll remember me for.
Ooh.
So there's always a backhanded thing with these with these criminal types.
That must have been like something that's very articulate for a gangster.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't he get like syphilis or something like that, and it like rotted his brain,
I have no
and
idea.
he like wasn't making any sense. There's a drunk history about it. It's
Okay.
pretty funny. So it's like they made him look really stupid, but that was very eloquent.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really feel like Al Capone would have been that stupid of a guy. I mean, like, look at what he accomplished. Even though it's not like a good thing, he still
Yeah.
accomplished a lot. Like, you can't be stupid and go like really far in any pursuit in life, really.
Some people would disagree with you about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it depends on what you define as being, successful in a pursuit. Like, I guess, like, some
You could
people,
be successful and like a liar.
yeah,
or
but to be a
something like
liar,
that.
you actually have to be fairly intelligent as well.
Oh, okay.
To
Well,
be a
that
good
was actually
liar.
one of my questions that I hadn't researched.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on with the game.
Yep.
Are you ready for an Obama?
Yeah, go for it.
Are you ready for an Obama quote?
Sure.
So this is an Obama quote. I should somehow do a Jedi mind meld with these folks and convince them to do what's right.
This one,
this isn't part of the whole quote, but he has said, I should somehow do a Jedi mind meld with these folks and convince them to do what's right. A Jedi mind
I
meld.
do not want that to be true at all, but I feel like I'm just going to keep going with famous because I know that you're going to be bullshitting me a lot of the time. And like one of these things is going to be true and that's really fucked up.
I am
so.
playing mind games with you. It is famous.
Okay.
He did say that. It was a misnomer. Jedi mind meld doesn't make any sense because he's confusing Jedi mind tricks and
With
with a
something-
Vulcan mind meld.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so it's
he's-
kind of
he's
funny that he
basically like-
said it.
He's like a sci-fi like dunce basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's just proving that to the world.
One of my favorite pictures of Obama is where he's like waving a lightsaber. And he's like waving it like into the camera. He's like, "Rah!"
I am so Star Wars.
Yeah, and Michelle's just sitting there with her arms crossed, like,
What the fuck is going on? Who is this guy?
you piece of shit.
All right, so you got an Obama quote. I've got an Osama quote.
Osama quote. All right.
Are you ready for the Osama quote?
Very appropriate. Lay it on me.
People should rise above their differences and unite their efforts.
I mean, like, Osama is definitely taking care of some people, so I think that is famous.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's
So say that, yeah, because they're mutual aid societies, like I said before.
But again, see, I think you're putting too much faith in humanity because this is also a backhanded quote.
oh shit.
So this one goes, people should rise above their differences and unite their efforts against their enemy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
So there's always an
violence.
enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, this is an interesting bait and switch.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're trying to fool me with Osama saying a nice thing.
Yeah.
Would you like a Steve Jobs quote?
Sure.
I guess you have no choice.
I don't.
So Steve Jobs famously said, "You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, or whatever. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Whatever, dude."
Whatever. Again, that sounds like perfectly legitimate.
It was perfectly legitimate.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you were choosing perfectly.
Yeah, I was
legitimate.
like, do I want to say that it's fake just because there's got to be some fake ones that sound legit?
That one doesn't sound very fake, to be fair.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, he did say that. He was just he was always actually kind of pegged as a cynical dude, but in order to be a successful entrepreneur, that's what he was talking about. He was saying that you need to believe in something,
Yeah.
right? You need to trust people, or you need to trust yourself or destiny or whatever. He
Fair
actually
enough.
did say whatever. You have to trust whatever.
I believe in whatever. I go to the church of whatever.
Yeah.
Circa-
All praise to the whatever, or like something, you know?
Yeah. All right. Here's the next one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read the quote first and then give you the name because I just want to try it the other way around.
Oh,
and see
okay,
if
all
that
right. Let's
works.
see what your devious little strategies over here.
So the quote is, "It is better to offer a half truth that results in good than a whole truth that benefits no one." And this is George Washington.
A half-truth that does good.
It is better to offer a half-truth that results in good than a whole truth that benefits no one.
Yeah, like that's almost like omitting facts, right? Like you don't want to give
Yeah, kind of.
you
yeah.
could give a half-truth that like makes people happy.
Yeah.
George Washington, huh? I mean, that sounds like good. That sounds like a good thing that an American statesman would believe. So I'm gonna say famous.
No, that one's fake.
That one's fake?
That one's fake.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because we were talking about omitting facts, kind of.
Yeah.
So
well,
who made that? So who was that?
So I actually made that up.
You made that up. Oh,
Kind
okay.
of. I based it on. So his actual quote that I based this on was, and this is notably different.
It's the true one.
This is the true one. It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. So he was very truth oriented. He was very like, don't bullshit at all.
Mm-hmm. That's something that a good general would say,
Yeah.
I think, because you know, there's no room for excuses there when your life and your country is on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love like amazing historical figures like that. They were
They're
so
pretty interesting.
principled.
But I mean, you can't. I mean, were
And
they
they cared
though?
about
Like,
stuff
how do
like
you
this.
know for sure? Like, you weren't there in history. You didn't know these people. Like, history is just like written. You know what I mean?
I do kind of like them this way better.
Well, yeah. Everybody likes
I
to
know-
imagine heroes.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Like, fictional characters that are really good people.
It's like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's just like
kinda, sort of.
I want to when I hear like a cool quote like that, I want to believe.
George Washington Claus.
Yeah, George Washington Claus.
He was
or
a,
like
he
it
was
sounds
a wonderful man.
it sounds like the fictional characters in like Atlas Shrugged. You know, you kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
want to believe in their principles
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
they're not real. That's cool. Would you like a Trump quote? I'm
Oh,
being
sure.
very-
Hit me with a Trump quote.
Yeah, very
this will be
topical.
fun.
In real life, if I were firing you, I'd tell you what a great job you did, how fantastic you are, and how you can do better someplace else. ... I don't like firing people. Am I fucking with you?
Give it to me again. I want to hear it again.
Trump. In real life, if I were firing you, I'd tell you what a great job you did, how fantastic you are, and how you can do better someplace else. I don't like firing people.
I don't understand what he means by like in real life. Like,
I think he means like outside of his reality TV show.
okay.
I mean, it's like in his real business. That's what he's saying.
Okay, so yeah, based on the fact that like this,
But he's been
quote-
firing lots of.
this
He's
quote-
like shut down the government now.
Yeah, well,
At
I
this
mean,
point
this
in
quote sounds
history.
like it came from his TV show, I guess, because he's talking about in real life, and because of that, I'm gonna go with famous because I don't think that you would have made up a quote in the context of a TV show.
Yeah, it is famous. Trump actually did say that. It sounds like a different sort of structure to like what he would normally say.
Yeah.
So I think that he has like a TV persona.
Yeah.
And in his like real business, whether or not that's a good thing, nobody really likes firing people. But he has a persona that makes him appear as if it sort of just rolls off his back when
Yeah.
he fires people. He has a show dedicated to firing people.
Yeah,
It's a show of strength.
he doesn't still have that show, does he? No.
No, I mean he's way too busy
Yeah, being a
fucking up the presidency.
Yeah, sure is. All right, this is my last one.
Okay, all right. I have no more, by the way.
Okay, cool. So this is the last one of the game.
This is the last one of
Last
the game.
round.
Oh,
last goal
shit.
wins, bitch.
I mean, like, I don't want to be like, that's not how I want this to end.
All right, you ready?
With me fucking up.
Well, don't fuck it up then. It's fine.
I just got to read your face.
Okay, so this is George Carlin.
Nice.
And George Carlin says, "The reason I talk to myself is that everyone else is full of shit. More truth, more truth comes out of most people's asses than out of their mouths."
That sounds like something Carlin would say.
I
I'm
know
going to
it
say
does,
famous.
I made that shit up.
You fucker!
Ha-ha!
You piece of shit! How long have we been friends?
Not long enough.
Why would you
apparently.
lie to me like this?
Real quote is, "The reason I talk to myself is that I am the only person that I trust, basically. I'm the only person whose answers I accept."
I see.
And that's what he said.
So he doesn't trust anybody else.
Well,
to be honest
so
with him.
he didn't use the word trust. He said, I believe the actual quote was, "The reason I talk to myself is that I am the only one whose answers I accept."
Interesting.
So he thinks that his own thinking about things is in some way superior.
Well, Carlin's
to,
like actually one of those great comedic minds.
yeah,
right?
he's pretty
Like,
smart. So
mean,
I
when
think
you-
he knew.
It would make a lot of
what he
sense
believed
to
in.
bounce things off of your supreme intellect, but I don't think that's a way for a regular person to live necessarily.
I mean,
like not trusting anybody
it's
else.
arguable whether it's a way for anybody to live, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty egotistical. A
kind
little
of.
bit.
Yeah, I guess.
So let's define truth and let's define lies and let's
Sure.
talk about that.
Let's talk about these things.
Yeah, like what is truth to you?
Well, truth to me, I mean, that's
Or what do
That's
you
a
know
question
about
I-
truth?
oh, so the standard definition of truth, as philosophy would have it, as the philosophical discipline defines it, is justified true belief, basically. So,
That's knowledge, isn't it?
oh, sorry, yeah, that's knowledge. Yeah. So, what was truth again? Truth.
Truth is like is information which has a basis in reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Basis in reality is required for what truth is.
The definition that I have written here for it is in accordance with fact or reality.
Yeah, that's
Real,
what I have.
real or actual, accurate or exact. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I looked up the definition of true, which is in accordance with fact or reality, and then I looked up fact, and it said a thing that is known or proved to be true. So they're kind of like, it's a little bit of a cyclical
Yeah.
logic thing going on, where it's
Yeah,
like
it is.
truth is based on fact, and fact is based on truth. So
Yeah, well, I think it's like a basis in reality. I think that information with a basis in reality is probably
yeah,
fact,
yeah,
right? So truth and fact are like kind of synonymous, whereas like fact could be more so like referencing the information more, and whereas truth could be talking about the reality aspect of that, emphasizing that a little bit more,
yeah.
possibly.
Another interesting understanding of the concept of truth that I came across when I was reviewing some of my old like Nietzsche notes was that truth, like all lying and truth, basically both of them, are based on language, and that truth is essentially just like using agreed upon language. So if you agree, so I mean, his perspective on everything was pretty much like very linguistic, right? So it was
Yeah.
like everything came down to that. And so with truth, it was just a matter of like, well, do you, like if I tell you this thing and you agree and whatever, and everybody's kind of on the same page about these words that we use to describe things, that's what's true.
Truth is something that has basis in reality. Like, for example, the sky appears blue, right? Everybody with eyes does kind of agree that the sky is blue, but the sky is also objectively blue, like from where we can see it.
Is it?
Yeah, I think and it's not
What's
just
blue?
It's not just because
What is the concept blue?
it's not just because everybody agrees that the sky is blue. It's just that it's, if you were to say that the sky is purple, like that would be a lie.
Yeah, because purple is a different word than the one that we all use to describe the sky.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like it doesn't, saying that it's purple doesn't really have a basis in fact, right?
No,
We know what purple is because sighted people that aren't colorblind know the difference between blue and purple, and all of the people that can tell the difference
but
between blue and other colors
what
knows
if
that
I
the sky
actually
is
see blue as purple and purple is blue? Like, what if you were to get into my mind, and then empirically speaking, you were to see that, like, so like I have this ability to differentiate between all these different colors. That doesn't mean I see them the same way that you do. I just know that when you point at orange and you say orange, whenever I see the same color that I always see when anybody points at orange.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's true. I mean, like, what are colors, and like what are we seeing the same colors? It's basically like solipsism. You kind of take a leap of faith that we do. And so that gets us into the next thing that Nietzsche was saying, which is truth is an agreed upon language. And another definition that I found of truth is that truth is something that's agreed upon. It's not actually based in objective fact.
yeah,
Right? As you were saying,
Yeah.
like color, for example, is subjectively interpreted. So how can you know that the sky is blue is an objective fact, right?
Right.
But you could look at the light waves radiating from the sky, being like when you point like a spectrometer at the sky or something like that, you would see that there's a certain frequency that it reflects back, right? That produces the color blue in like sighted people, and that way you could objectively know that the sky is like at this frequency and that corresponds to blue. But there is a definition of truth being that it's just something that's agreed upon. Do you think that the truth is that people can just agree on the truth? Like a whole bunch of people subjectively get together and they agree on what the truth is. Does that make it the truth?
I don't think so, really.
Yeah.
My inclination is that our subjective our like human and subjective capacity to understand whatever objective reality may be is limited enough that we don't really necessarily have, like access to what is actually true. Like take one of these Gettier cases, right? So say you have like a whole bunch of people that are all like standing at the edge of this field, and everybody agrees like, there's a fucking sheep over in the middle of this field, yo. And they're all looking at it and they're like, man, that's definitely a sheep, and everybody agrees. Right?
Yeah.
Turns out
that was their truth at that time. Everybody was like, "Oh, this is true."
Was it true?
Well, they didn't have
this is the debate that I'm trying to. The point that I'm trying to make is like, was it true? So so let's just finish the case.
Of course.
So they think it's a sheep, but it's not. It's a dog, whatever, right? And
it's a fluffy dog.
Yeah, it's a fluffy dog, and so like, does that mean that they were like in possession of and like a false belief that because they thought it was true means it was true for them? Like, it's kind of like how like
they agreed that it was true.
Yeah, they
agreed that it was true, but they didn't have real knowledge of the sheep.
Yeah. So and then what happens if that sheep that everybody thought was a sheep turned out to be a dog, but then further away in the field, like hidden behind some bush or something, there actually was a sheep.
But so they didn't have true knowledge.
They didn't have true knowledge of it, but it was still kind of true. It turned out to be true. So does that mean that they then had a truth that was very...
The requirements for knowledge is that it's verified. Like you have to have like reasons for why you think a particular thing is. It has to be, what was it again? The difference between truth and knowledge. So it has to be justified and it has to be true.
Yeah.
That means that there had to be a sheep there.
Yep.
You have to believe that it's true, which they did.
Yep.
Right? But they weren't justified.
They were justified though because they thought they saw a sheep. That's the justification. It's like everybody was like agreeing that like, oh yeah, there's a sheep over there.
Yeah. So they were
that's what these Gettier cases
they weren't justified because they hadn't. I would argue that they're not justified because they didn't investigate enough.
Okay.
They were fooled that the dog was a sheep because it was a puffy dog.
Yeah.
So the justification for the truth that the sheep was over there, they didn't connect together. They thought a sheep was over there because they were looking at something that wasn't a sheep, but they weren't justified in their belief that that was a sheep. And the truth that there actually was a sheep there wasn't a justification for what they thought was true.
Yeah. I got another one that might be a better example. Let's see if I can remember exactly what it was. It was a little bit more detailed, but basically,
cool.
So Joe and Smith are going for a job interview.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I've heard of this.
You've heard this one?
Oh yeah.
So Joe has 10 coins in his pocket, right? And Smith sees that Joe has 10 coins because he pulls them out at some point or whatever, right? They both have their interviews, and like the Smith sees Joe like kind of being buddy with the guy doing the interview and whatever, and he's thinking that, okay, well, like Joe's definitely getting the job.
Yeah.
Right? So he infers that the man who's going to get this job has 10 coins in his pocket. Right. So that is his value judgment or his truth statement.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that he doesn't get the job. Joe doesn't get the job. Smith gets the job. So Smith, the one who thinks that Joe is going to get the job, ends up getting the job himself.
Yeah.
And it also turns out that he also had 10 coins in his pocket. Maybe he goes and counts them later or whatever. So he was right. So he was justified in thinking that Joe was going to get the job because whatever, maybe he saw something that was like, oh, this is like definitely going to happen. Like this is a shoe in for this guy. He's going to get the job, right? And he knows that Joe has 10 coins in his pocket. But then Joe doesn't get the job and he does, and then it just sort of turns out that like the man who got the job had 10 coins in his pocket.
Yeah, so the assertion that the man who has 10 coins in his pocket is going to get the job, that's true.
It ends up being true.
That's what Smith was fixating on.
Yeah.
So it turned out that he was right, but
what did he have knowledge of it in the first place?
But did he have knowledge of it? No, he didn't, because
well, that's the whole thing.
He didn't believe that it would be him.
That's right.
I mean, I guess he did believe that the guy who got the job would have the coins in the pocket. But again, it's about the justification for it. His justification for why that was true was wrong.
Not really, though.
His justifications were about, his name was Smith, right? The guy who eventually got the job.
Basically what you're saying is that Gettier cases are an invalid argument against the standard definition of knowledge, which is justified true belief. You think that Gettier cases don't disprove that because all they are cases where the justification wasn't satisfactory.
Yeah, the justification wasn't satisfactory. The way that you got there had changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in both of these cases,
there's a disconnect between the
there's a
justification of what you think was going to happen or what you think the reality is.
Exactly.
And then what actually ends up being the case.
The only things that are really solid in those Gettier cases for me is the belief and the truth value of the assertion.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like basically Smith had justification to think that Joe was going to get the job and Joe had 10 coins in his pocket, but he didn't have justification to think that he was going to be the man with 10 coins in his pockets to get the job.
Yes, exactly.
So therefore, the justification is like not really.
That's where I'm at right now with those Gettier cases. I had heard them before, and I really like that you brought them up actually, because they are interesting.
Yeah, they're pretty
ways
interesting.
to talk about knowledge, and we are still talking about truth because truth is an ingredient in that model of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that model of knowledge is right, because in a very simple sense, right? If you say that, I believe that the sky is blue and the sky is blue is true, but my justification for thinking and believing that the sky is blue is that I've seen the ocean and that's blue. Yeah. I don't think that's like enough justification to make it knowledge, because you don't really know that the sky is blue because you could have never looked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you don't really have knowledge. You have more of a belief and you happen to be right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think it's fairly definitive.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about lying then.
So what's
the case where somebody either believes or doesn't believe something to be true, and then puts that information to somebody else, and it turns out not to be true.
What I found about lying is that it's different from truth, because truth doesn't really.
No shit, eh?
Yeah, sorry. That's a little bit of a simple statement to make. It's markedly different, notably different from truth, in that truth doesn't really require intention for something to be true. It doesn't matter like what you intend.
I think it can kind of. I mean, like if I intend to tell somebody the truth, if I intend to be honest, and I say something that I heard from somebody else that I think is the truth, but it's not, and that person finds out that it wasn't true and they think that I lied to them or whatever, does it mean that I've actually lied?
Yeah.
It's like I've sort of like without intent. I've lied
your intentions didn't make it true in that case. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But your intentions actually are what determine whether or not it was a lie.
That's true. Yeah.
Because you didn't really intentionally deceive. So I think that's one way that truth and lies are markedly different, is because you don't really require like an intention if something's true. Like something is either true or it isn't. Yeah. But with lying, I think it has a lot to do with what you intend to do.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't intend to deceive somebody, then you're not really lying.
Yeah.
It's difficult to think of a case in which you weren't intending to deceive somebody,
and you would actually consider that a lie still.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it is all about
you're
intent.
misinforming them at that point.
Yeah, I think it is all about intent. And it's interesting because like it being very tied to our intent and what we're trying to get out of lying, actually it turns out to be like quite a robust subject as well. Like we lie to protect a bunch of different things. We lied to protect ourselves. We lied to protect our interests, our image, our resources, or even others at times. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, like people are kind of subconsciously running numbers on whether we can get away with lying. And, the test of time tells us that, we sort of usually can a lot of the time. So, I mean, that's why everybody sort of just does it.
People have evolved to lie better.
Yeah.
Over time.
That's true.
That's what a lot of people have said, because there's a lot of advantage to lying or withholding information too, so that you can appear better, or you can appear more fit for selection, or you can tell your community that everything's okay so that it will like run smoothly and without anarchy.
Yeah.
But
when is it okay to lie though,
It's
when it's out of compassion.
I think if lying gets out of control, then it's not okay anymore. Because in one hand, if your civilization is good at lying, then you have some benefits. But if everybody in your society doesn't trust each other, then it breaks down into anarchy as well.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we have like religious instilled
that's like-
morals and things like
But
that.
I think a lot of that is like pretty high level lies. You know what I mean? That's like the lies of like mythology, or the lies that like a government tells to protect its people. This sort of thing.
Yes,
I'm
or
talking-
the omissions that it tells.
Yeah, I'm talking more about like the day to day lies, or the lies that like an individual would encounter. Like maybe more serious cases. Okay, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Would you lie to save some Jews from the Nazis?
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, like anybody would do that. Would you?
Did you know that in a lie detector, if somebody thinks that they're lying for a good cause, like for like a noble cause, then
It doesn't show as much of a
it doesn't actually
registration?
work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the lie detector will often fail if you believe that you're justified in lying.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, because you're not nervous. That's all that a lie detector really detects is whether or not you are nervous.
Yeah.
So what happens during a lie, right? Like what physically goes on during a lie? You have a change in heart rate. You change the tone of your voice. Your body language and word choices are different from your baseline.
Yeah.
So lie detection is all about the differences between what's going on when somebody's nervous when they're lying and a baseline. So another thing that we do when we lie is we tend to freeze our upper bodies. We make more eye contact, actually, not less eye contact. So if somebody is like darting their eyes around, I mean, that is kind of shifty, like the dog in The Simpsons, but a liar will actually like stare straight into your eyes a little bit more to try to overcompensate.
Okay.
Yeah. And
What about like pathological liars who are like really, really good at lying?
pathological liars will stare you straight in the face. Pathological liars are really good at keeping their stories straight.
And apparently I've heard they're good at keeping those, you know, the registration of their heart rate and whatever, this kind of thing. They're good at passing lie detector tests, essentially.
Yeah. Apparently there's something physiologically different about...
Oh yeah, I heard about that actually. I read an article about pathological liars developing like more white matter in the...
Yeah, they have about 25% more white matter.
Yeah.
Which are the connectivity parts of the brain.
Yeah. So they
so
can pass
like,
information around faster.
Yeah, to different hemispheres of the brain so that you actually don't slip up and you can actually keep the lie going.
Spitting out information. Yeah.
Exactly. So but what they have less of is they have 14% less gray matter. So these connectivity parts are
taking up all the damn space.
Yeah, these connectivity parts are taking up more space than the gray matter, which is the processing part. Right?
Yeah.
So before thinking about whether or not you should be lying, which is what your gray matter takes care of, right? You're making a decision about whether or not you should be lying. Pathological liars don't do that.
Yeah.
Because they just start making the connections and being creative, actually.
Yeah, they are
before they think about should I
say this?
What do I want to lie to Brandon, or do I want to save my relationship with Brandon? Oh shit, I'm already lying.
Yeah. That's how it goes, man. It's interesting. I mean, like, so we got lying to other people, and then you've also got people lying to themselves. Now,
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like that's another whole thing where it's like I feel like it's easier to lie to yourself, or almost like because it happens on a subconscious level or whatever, it doesn't really register the same way.
You'll be better at lying if you believe your lie.
It's true.
That you're lying to yourself.
If you're lying to yourself about something,
you'll be better at lying to others.
But are you lying to others if you believe that something is true because you're lying to yourself about it?
That's an interesting point to raise, given that we've said that a lot of what lying is intent.
Yeah.
So if somebody is like mentally ill, like I don't know if being a compulsive liar is mentally ill, but if they lie to themselves and they believe that lie, so when they're lying to other people, they're delusional, so they don't actually have an intention to lie. Because they didn't, like, I can't really imagine a situation in which somebody intends to lie to themselves. Yeah. It just so happens that they are lying to themselves. Yeah. And I guess that's why insanity is a defense.
Yeah.
Like
it kind of is.
In courtrooms. Which brings us to another point. Do you think, because we want to challenge our culture here on Apes on Tape, do you think that our culture upholds dishonesty?
Yeah.
In what way?
I think it's like a lot of little ways more than just like one particular way. I think that people, I mean, there's like a biological element to it, of course, but I think people are like
Yes.
drawn to stories and these sorts of things, you know, like if think
But
about it
that's
this way.
evolutionary. Like that's not cultural.
Well, think about it this way: somebody who watches TV all the time and
Mhm.
just like watches all these fictional stories and like lives, you know, in kind of like fantasy land and
Interesting.
whatever. You know, like are they more or less? I'd actually be interested to see if there are any studies on this. Are there
But
more?
is the intent in these fantastic
Well, no,
getaways of the mind, is the intent to deceive people or to entertain them?
Well, it's I guess a little bit of both maybe. But my question is more so that like, does this person who is like always being bombarded by just stories and fiction and all this, like, are they more likely to lie? Are they more likely to lie to other people because, you know, they want their own life to be like fantastical?
Oh, I see. Are
stuff.
they? Yeah. Are they? Would that make them more competitive? Is
Yeah.
lying something that you do when you are more competitive?
Yeah, well, and just other people are lying all the time around you, and so like, how do you like that's
Yeah,
know,
and
part
your
of our
world is
culture.
kind of like not based in reality, so like why wouldn't you
Yeah.
make shit up?
Yeah, and I mean, like our a lot of our current culture has, you know, just people who lie about things in it, and if like lies exist in our culture, then I think that, you know, as the cause is, so the result shall be. Lies beget lies, and so yeah, it kind of is a little bit of a cultural cycle. You know, I think people are like almost scary good at lying to themselves about things as well, possibly partially because of our culture. Like we have
People
many-
are
many
scary
different-
good at lying in general.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think it's much harder to lie to other people. Like there's all these different mechanisms that go on in the brain that allow you to lie to yourself about various things, like emotional reasoning, thinking or feeling, thinking that our feelings reflect reality, or like overgeneralization is another like really common thing that people just do without even thinking about it. Or like other ego defense mechanisms like denial and rationalization and projection, or polarized thinking in terms of just black and white and like ignoring the gray area, these sorts of things. All this stuff is going on, and I think that there is a cultural influence that does help like uphold these
Yeah,
sort of
because ignorance
mentalities.
of why like an ignorance of principles on why somebody should be honest can also lead
I've got
to lying more.
I've got a list here. Sorry, I got a list here of like some really just like 4 interesting things that are like. There's this video that I watched where there was a list of like things that we lie to ourselves in order to avoid. Like these are sort of like justifications, subconsciously for lying to yourselves. And the number one thing, this is according to this psychologist that I watched. The number one thing is death. And the second reality that we're trying to avoid is ultimate aloneness. The fact that like ultimately we are alone in our own minds and whatever. Like there is like an aloneness there.
That's why people lie, you're saying?
This is why people deceive themselves into believing certain things so that they can avoid. Like people don't want.
Oh yeah, people don't like to think about like how they're bad either.
Or they don't like thinking about meaninglessness, and they don't like thinking about the freedom that you have. So like the responsibility that you have to give your own life meaning, and like
I think that people would lie. I mean, those things are like pretty heavy things to think about. But
That's right.
I think that a majority of people lie. I think those are good reasons. But I also think that one that they're left out, if there's only 4 of them, is that people can lie to themselves so that they don't actually have to examine themselves, and they don't want to see themselves in a negative way.
Well, I don't know. The problem
They
with
would
that,
rather see themselves in a positive way, so they'll lie to themselves about how they are instead of examining themselves.
Well, exactly, but then you end up like not improving yourself. I mean, like if you just didn't lie, I mean, like what if you were honest with your wife about her being fat? Like maybe she'd trust you more. Maybe she'd work out instead of just like feeling good for a moment. You know, if you reflected on your own self.
Well, yeah, that would be like that's a cliche because a lot of people aren't very like open to the truth, and in fact, some people don't like the truth.
Right. And
What I've learned recently, personally, is that I've actually never really been that good at telling the truth in a good way. Like there's telling
that's
the
a very difficult skill.
yeah, like
So
like
to
I've
master.
always been a pretty honest person. Like most of my life, I've always wanted to be like more honest than not. So, but the thing is that sometimes you're blatantly honest, and you're not being honest in a gentle, understanding, or careful way.
Yeah.
So what I do now, which is like a really good thing that I picked up from a friend, was having an honesty sandwich. where where if you
Just like write a bunch of shit down on a piece of paper and eat it.
no, I just take some honesty and I put it between 2 buns and I McDonald's buns and give it to them.
Are the buns lies?
The buns are lies in this scenario. So what the buns are compliments.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're not lies. I'm saying that I'm lying that they're actual physical buns
So
in that case.
you go, you look very nice today.
Yes.
You're a piece of shit though.
Yeah.
But I really like you.
Yes, exactly. It's just like I think that you're great and it's wonderful that you're working towards your other goals.
However, you
But-
suck.
Yeah. Well, no, it's however, but your weight is causing me to feel not attracted to you,
You're talking
right?
about,
In
like,
that
specific things like
that
that.
specific example that you
Yeah,
gave.
yeah.
And I love you and I'll support you through all of that, and that's how you end it. And the honesty sandwich is actually like much better than like being abrasive, being something like, oh, like you're fat, or like we're, we don't do this enough, or something like that.
Yeah.
It could be very like, some people are very sensitive, and so a lot of people have a bad experience with people being over honest. And like I really hope that like my life hasn't made me jaded towards lying more.
I mean, why do you want to lie more?
Well, because blatant honesty. Well, because being honest
You don't
is
have
hard
to lie.
sometimes.
Yeah, well, being honest is hard. So what? Do the hard thing. Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Exactly. No, well, I'm saying that hopefully my life doesn't lead to that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me so jaded.
I've got a really interesting quote that's like right on topic here. I actually didn't write the name down of who this is from, but I liked it anyways. And the quote is, "A dedication to honesty motivates us to strive to become all the good things lying helps us pretend we already are.
Yeah.
To live with the intent of avoiding any action that we'd ever feel the need to cover up leads to a remarkably stress-reduced life."
That's so true. And it's so funny. I wrote down something exactly like that as well. I was like, why do people tell the truth? And then personally, I tell the truth because it feels good to tell the truth and be at one with my reality.
Yeah.
Right. I like to have true positive news to tell people. Right. If I
Yeah.
were telling people fake news that made me feel good and made them feel good, then maybe I wouldn't be a good person. I have I would know that I have no actual good news about myself. If I were lying to people and they were satisfied with that, and I was satisfied with the lies that I was telling about myself, I would never make myself better.
Yeah, it's true. It's
I
exactly it.
I try to be truthful so that I can improve, right? And so that I can lie even less.
Try to bring that truth to a place where the truth is
meets
in
with your
line
reality.
with what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or lie and then bring your reality to to meet those lies, and now you're telling the
guess.
truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the fake it till you make it idea, which I've never really done.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
No, I mean, like people say it a lot and I've heard it a lot, but I've never personally done that. It's worked
Yeah.
out for me.
Yeah, it's been pretty good for me as well, actually.
Yeah. There was this documentary that I watched a while ago, and one of the things that I thought was very interesting from that documentary was that everybody lies.
Yeah.
It was called Dishonesty: The Truth About Lies. Have you ever seen that?
No, that would have been a really good thing for me to watch.
Yeah,
this.
it would have. Like one of the big things that I took away from that was that there's very few people out there that are very big liars, that are like extremely deceptive. Like, for example, in a thing where they watch people, in an experiment where they watch people and see how much money people will take, right? Everyone actually, like, you'll find that a lot of people are deceptive and they'll like take money, or a lot of people will make like little deceptions everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's not a whole lot of people that are just want to like break the game and are like evilly massively deceptive.
Yeah.
It turns out that in their studies it showed that those were like the exceptions rather than the rule.
There was a case that I heard about of that kind of recently. It was like this guy, what was his name? His last name was Klaas. He was like this German reporter guy who like he lied about a bunch of shit that he reported over like the span of years, whatever, and he got like all these journalism awards and stuff like that, like from like well-recognized organizations and things. And he was in the news like just for being such a great reporter and all this kind of shit. And then like one of his stories ended up being investigated by like just some local townspeople who were like, no, that's not true. Like he's saying things about our town that's not true. And so they started looking into it and they started uncovering more and more of his lies. And then soon he had no choice but to like fess up and say like, well, I lied about everything. And they took all his awards away.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. and it was pretty intense. Yeah,
I know when you
happens.
and you like hearing that story, right?
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because people.
I mean, it does like kind of, I don't know, it's disheartening a bit. To know
I
that,
don't.
like,
Do you
people
feel
that
bad
shit.
for the guy? I don't.
I actually do kind of a little bit.
I feel bad for him that he had to lie that much.
Yeah, I feel bad that
He felt the need to do
The
that.
need to lie is like a little bit unfortunate for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's that's a huge lie. Like that's a really
a big
huge
one.
deception to
Yeah,
make, and
yeah.
it's very rare that you'll hear people, with the stones to sort of do that.
Yeah.
But actually, like it turns out that a really large problem from this documentary was that the little lies, the many little lies, they add up, and they actually create like bigger problems in society than the exceptional.
Yeah.
Majorly deceptive.
I think
liars
just like
do.
the mentality of honesty on like a human to human level is like the most important thing, rather than getting all upset about like, oh, politicians lying. Whenever we should all just be trying to be more honest, and I think that we'll benefit from that, you know. And there's like the more honesty there is in the world in general, the more that becomes the new culture and the new, you know, the new way of things. And the liars of society that are, you know, like high responsibility kind of figures who are maybe fucking a lot of things up for people by lying all the time.
Oh, that's politicians in general. They lie. Well, they're not. I
Not all
don't
of
know
them.
if they're
You can't just say
necessarily
all
lying,
politicians are-
but they're making promises that they can't keep.
They do that as well. Yeah,
do that a
that's
lot.
True. Yeah, and I think
and
that,
some of them lie a lot.
that's yeah, definitely. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying, you know, maybe not all of them. But in any case, I think
Things would be better if things were more honest.
Yeah.
Our lives are very full of lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's very principled, and it takes some thought and a lack of ignorance.
Yep.
To
You have to be aware of the fact that you're lying. That's the first thing.
And you got to be aware of the fact that honesty is a better way to live.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up
We do
because
absolutely.
it is time. But we're gonna leave you guys with a little musical number that we came up with.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody listening to our podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something.
All right. Yeah.
And yeah, enjoy this little thing we came up with for you.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.
My name is MC, blatantly honest. If you're fucking around, I put a hole in your chest. I'm not saying that solution is the best. Being so true, it puts my life to the test. Honesty makes people very uncomfortable. Open wide for the reality funnel. I'm pouring the truth all the way down double. Honesty gets me into lots of trouble. You lose things close, no butter for your toast. I told a host ghost he's got no reason to boast, cause he laughed funny, got no money, nose is running. He cries and shouts, "We done, G." I tell you things you may not like to hear, like your face in fact ugly or you're going nowhere. That's an ugly shirt, you're human dirt. Out I blurt, the truth hurts, believe me. Don't deceive me, your breath is offensive. Being honest ain't easy, believe me. Don't deceive me, I boarded our baby. Being honest ain't easy, believe me. Don't deceive me, I pick my nose and eat it. Being honest ain't easy, believe me. Don't deceive me, I had sex with your mom. Being honest ain't easy. I'm your new dad, son. We're gonna have to have an honest chat, yo. Shit.
MC, pathological liar, here to save the day, like I always fucking do, because I'm just so great. I can tie my shoes while I'm leaping over gates. I can fight a mountain lion blindfolded, holding weights. Just the other day, I was driving my Ferrari down the street, drifting like a boss, and I hit Mach 3. Sure enough, the piggy started chasing me, but I always keep a trick up my sleeve. I let them get close, real close, so close we became like brothers, yo. Then I betrayed them, had to keep my head in the game, had to set him straight. Little did they know I had my mountain lion in the back seat. His name is Chief. I opened my door and I let him free. You should have seen him scream and shout, I don't know how. But the next time I looked over, Chief was driving like a road lion. I was like, holy shit, this is cool. Those cops got schooled. We was breaking all the rules. Decided it was time to start running some jewels, maybe buy a pool. But first we had to go to space, because that very same day, the Earth was attacked by an alien race. No joke, you might not have seen it though. It got covered up by the government and shit. But when me and Chief seen the aliens, we wasn't having it. Chief said, look, even though we know we won't be scoring the rep for this, we gotta do something. In my heart I knew we was right. We couldn't just let everybody die. I hit the red button and then my car started to fly. In seconds we were up in the stratosphere. We put on our battle gear, we put on our lack of fear. We were getting ready for anything that appears. And then I spotted it, the mothership, followed closely by another 6. We knew we had to find a way to flank them, and then we did it. Just like that we had the upper hand. It was time to show these alien fuckers what they don't understand. This was our land. Humanity would never let them take that away, man. We opened fire, going straight for the central spire, retiring the whole damn fleet with one fighter. So there we was, drifting like a boss through the wreckage and waste. We did it, we saved the day. Once again, like I say, it's just our way. So that's it, the whole story. I know it sounds incredibly articulatory, but I swear it's all true, for real, for really real. I ain't just trying to claim glory, I'm trying to put the world before me. And now I'm off to do some more deeds, forgive my leave, and just remember, what you believe you do is what you can achieve.